But we've been watching this phenomenon of bullion depositories and state constitutional money resolutions and so on and so forth. And you pointed out, and a bunch of people pointed out when I did that blog, you weren't the only one, that, this bullion depository business on the part of states could be a trap.
Right.
And I agree with that. And the problem is what the states are doing could go either way. The essential step that will prevent it from becoming a trap is the establishment of a state bank.
Right. You're right. Without the ability to transact
Right.
dollars, they are going to be in a squeeze. And I want to make
Yeah,
sure everybody.
you need a financial system that can bypass the Fed.
Right.
That's ultimately what you're doing is you're creating a clearing system, and we'll get back to this later because there's some news that people need to know. But yeah, I think it's an absolutely essential step. If they're going to have a bullion depository, they need a sovereign state bank. That's
So
simple.
so I want to make sure everybody understands it, because the folks who are promoting Bitcoin or who are promoting gold and silver as they're calling it sound money.
Hmm.
What you have to look at this as a gaming or
Hmm.
sort of a economic warfare playbook. So the citizens of any state in the United States, maybe 3 to 5% have precious metals or Bitcoin. 100% have dollars. The central banks and the people who run the central banks have plenty of gold and silver and plenty of Bitcoin,
Right.
right? But
Right.
the citizens don't. So if you create a sound money system that is dependent on what is scarce for you and plentiful for the central bankers, they've got you over a barrel. And
Yes.
and now you've got to sell your land or your business to get the money you need to transact, right? So they've got you in a short squeeze.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So one of the problems that the states have in doing a state bank is some constitutions don't permit it. And
Hmm.
what I've argued is that if you have a constitution that doesn't permit it, um, it is also possible for the state banks to organize a private bank that is a
Yes.
dedicated depository. So it doesn't
Right.
have to be owned by the state. It can be owned by the state chartered banks, and they can create a new bank that's just a depository that serves the state and is dedicated to making sure there is financial liquidity under the legal jurisdiction of the state and operationally
Right.
within the state, so it can't be shut down.
Yeah, they could another way that they might approach the same problem is, and I was going to talk about this later, but this is as good a point to raise it as any. And that's the idea that you're already seeing some states arrange compacts with other states about how they're going to do certain things.
Right.
And we've talked about this in some of your previous wrap ups recently that with the bullion depositories, you're going to see automatically emerge regional state compacts. And you could have one state that does allow a state bank compact with another state to become the depository for that state, on and on it goes. So I guess what we're getting at here, folks, is that you need to think outside the box of what you can do to protect your local sovereignty and to be able to transact
Right.
in case the Fed decides to do any sort of overreach.
Well, the first thing the states can do is just, compare notes.
Compare
So
notes, right?
there's been a tremendous amount of sharing of information back and forth. So
Right.
we were asked to draft a bill to outlaw NACs in Tennessee,
Hmm.
and we shared that broadly, and it flipped around. So if you look at the extraordinary amount of legal and financial thinking and working and design that needs to be
Hmm.
done,
Hmm.
there's tremendous communication going back and forth between the states. And one of the things I've seen is particularly the southern states are very cooperative and collaborative. And it was funny,
Hmm.
somebody said, if all the southern states from Texas to Florida do this, it's the American OPEC.
Yes.
They
Yeah,
have
it
the oil
is.
and gas. They have the oil and gas to back this up.
Right.
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 Okay, so several states have published, no state that I know of has moved a bill to start a state bank, but that several states have published resolutions to require studying and or a commission. And I think
Mhm.
that's what you want to encourage your legislatures to do at a minimum is to do something like that. And we'll have links to some of the resolutions that have been done so you can see them. But we
Mhm.
want to encourage them to, encourage your state legislators to look at that, because without having dollar liquidity, there is going to be a land grab. I mean, there's a land grab going now.
Going now,
Right.
right.
Right.